And everyone, welcome to the Xperience. My name is Michael Lindenbaum, and we are brought to you by Spartacon. Spartacon, which is August 15th and 16th at the Blue Crab Stadium in Waldorf, Maryland. Come see stars from the show Spartacus like Manu Bennett, Cynthia Day Robinson, Dan Fergal, and many others from the show. For more information, please visit redserpents.com. And last weekend was AwesomeCon, and, pun intended, AwesomeCon was awesome. Ben Penrod and his staff did an amazing job of making AwesomeCon bigger and better for this year. For me, the convention floor felt much more spacious, and how everything was set up felt more organized, especially for the celebrity guests this year. Photo ops this year were much more efficient. Epic photo ops and the AwesomeCon staff and volunteers made everything go very smoothly. You can get your picture. Literally got your picture as soon as you're done, and the way they set everything up to make sure that you got your picture was very well done. I've met several celebrities that were there. I met all the Turtles voice cast, the Power Rangers that were there, Casper Van Dien, Grant Imahara, Judith Ho, Kevin Eastman, and so many more. But right now, we're actually going to hop into our first interview. The first interview is with cosplay guest Ruby Rinekso. And I'm here today with Ruby Rinekso, cosplayer guest of AwesomeCon. Ruby has done several cosplays like Green Lantern, Batman from the 60s, and of course does Kiss Nation, is a band member. And Ruby, how has AwesomeCon been for you this weekend?
Shall I say it? Awesome.
Oh, the pun is always intended.
Of course. Well, we got that out of the way, but it's been fantastic, man. It's our first time here, and we hope to be back next year. It's big, and the people are great. The costumes I'm seeing are great. The guests are great, and
everything is awesome.
Everything is awesome. I'm trying my hardest to avoid the word awesome, but you can't because it's AwesomeCon.
And I'm just saying this. Last year was my first year here. This is actually the third year of the convention. It was actually in the other building, which was smaller, and on the Saturday alone, there was 20,000 people just showed up, and there's only expected about 7,000. And it really shows how much this convention has grown in just 3 years.
That's great.
And that's amazing.
That's great.
And
it's awesome.
Yeah, and and going back, because you are a cosplay guest for AwesomeCon, you're judging the costume contest and everything. What got you into doing cosplay in the first place? What inspired you to really get into it?
Well, I think if you ask any cosplayer around, they'll probably tell you that their favorite holiday is Halloween.
Same here.
Okay, so in my particular case, I have been cosplaying before I even knew what the term was, because Halloween was my favorite holiday. And I was always, a little saddened as a child that it only came once a year. I always wanted to pretend that I was like a superhero character or, a sci-fi character. And like most other kids, they, when they're smaller, they run around the house with a towel wrapped around their neck or whatever, pretend to be Superman or whatever. I just really didn't grow out of that.
Yeah. And sometimes that's the best thing, not to grow out of it, because it keeps you young at the same time, too.
Sure, yeah. But the difference is between now and then is that my budget is better, and nobody can tell me no.
Exactly. And now one of the cosplay that actually drew my attention to you, and to also Jennifer Rose, is your Batman 1960s Adam West cosplay,
sure.
Which I actually saw, I believe, through the Burt Ward Adam West Facebook page.
You did? Wow.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
I had no idea.
That's how I actually discovered you guys.
I had no idea it was on
And then
there.
when you guys were announced as cosplay guys, I was like, I got to meet these people. What type of inspiration has the Adam West Burt Ward Batman have on you? Because that is obviously something that I grew up with. My mom made me watch it, and
right.
It's a great franchise, obviously, and
well, what's
the inspiration?
Well, there's a couple of reasons why I do that cosplay. Number one, the obvious reason is I'm a big fan of the show. I love the show. That doesn't discount or discredit my feelings for, like, the Dark Knight version of Batman. I loved that.
Oh, definitely.
I love the history of Batman. I love this Batman. I have different version of Batman.
By any chance, do you have the 1930s and 1940s movie serial collections?
I do have the collections, but I do not have that costume. No.
Oh, no. Well, I meant in general. Like, have you seen those?
Of course I've seen it. Of course I've seen it. I love the history of Batman. So that is number one. The second reason why I do that is because the popular Batman versions in conventions are usually the dark, serious Batman, the darker edge Batman, the Dark Knight version of Batman. I, as a principal, always do exactly the opposite of what others do. If everyone makes a left, I'll turn right. If everyone makes a right, I'll turn left, okay?
If they go backwards, you go forward.
Right. For me, it only makes sense for someone like me because I do this because I'm an attention whore. When I dress up in a costume, if I spend good money on a costume, if I take the time to make a costume and want to appear in a costume, the last thing I want to do is blend in. Yeah. So I do not want to blend in with any of the darker versions of Batman. Yeah. And when I do the Adam West version, 99.9% of the times I usually stand out.
Yeah, and I remember you running around with the PAL sign.
Right.
Just running around going, PAL.
Right. I'm the only idiot and the only moron that would decide to do that. Why? Because I like to stand out.
I'm not going to lie. If I did cosplaying, I would probably do the same thing, too. Just because it's fun, too.
Okay. I mean, to me, it's logical. Anybody who wants to do this sort of thing doesn't want to blend in, and I don't want to blend in when I do this.
And I'm actually going to go now to Kiss, because you are in a Kiss tribute band.
Yes. Called
Kiss Nation. Last year we actually had a concert here at AwesomeCon called the Awesome Concert, which featured Rare Candy, Adam Warrock, and Andrew WK.
Sure.
Now this year they didn't do the concert, but if they did the concert, would you have tried to get your band in on that?
We're open to any sort of opportunities. We have played several conventions. We've played after parties for Dragon Con, Rhode Island Comic Con, New York Comic Con, so forth. We have potential interest for other future conventions. So doing pop culture conventions is always on the table. However, that decision is not up to me. I have 3 other people in the band to consider. Plus, also, if the opportunity is right based on the needs of the particular convention itself.
Well, I'm saying this right now, Ben Penrod, get Kiss Nation, because I want that concert back next year.
And he can find us at kissnation.com.
And, speaking of Kiss Nation, when were you introduced to Kiss, and what was it about Kiss that really inspired you to actually want to become part of a Kiss tribute band?
Well, there's 2 separate answers. The reason why I became a Kiss fan was as a child in the 70s. I was also surprised into comic books and superheroes. Yeah. And like many small children at that age, when they're attracted to a band like Kiss, it's because they had the visual appeal. They were the only band in that era that looked like superheroes, okay? They didn't look like the Eagles, all right? They didn't look like the Allman Brothers, okay? They came on with these fantastic costumes. You had a guy that breathed fire, split blood. You had a guy whose drum riser went up like 60 feet in the air. You had a guy whose guitar smoked in flames. It was fantastic. It was like watching a superhero concert every night at their show. And that's how I got into being a fan. How I got into Kiss Nation was kind of, sort of, it started off as a little bit of a goof. I played guitar, and I had already had an Ace Frehley costume, and I had some local New York area friends that also had Kiss costumes, and they also played the same relative instruments as their Kiss counterparts, bass, drums, lead vocals, etc. So we just started playing together in New York. And that was the initial birth of Kiss Nation. And years later, over 15 years later, I'm still doing it with various other members joining in. And since then, I've been touring nationally, touring internationally, playing fairs, big events, nightclubs, and have also worked thankfully, with Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, who've been very kind to the band.
And where has been the best? I'm going to ask you for both cosplay and for Kiss Nation.
Sure.
For cosplay and for Kiss Nation, separately, which place has been the best place for both of them, or for just either or? I guess cosplay. Like, where is the best convention that you possibly have been for
cosplay?
Yeah.
Other than Awesome Con.
Plug Awesome Con.
Other than Awesome Con, let's put Awesome Con off the table. I think my best and favorite cosplay convention has to be Dragon Con.
Okay.
Dragon Con is the ultimate, yeah.
And where has been possibly the best place that you and Kiss Nation have played at?
In my years of playing in that band, we've had great crowds everywhere. I mean, that is hard to tell. Usually outside of New York, we get bigger crowds only because New York gets so many bands. But that is an answer I can't really give, because in my 15 years or so, it's just we've had great crowds everywhere, like fantastic, incredible crowds. So I can't even think of one.
Now I've been saving this for last. We already talked about Batman, Adam West, Burt Ward.
Sure.
I've seen the pictures where you guys have been on location sets from the show.
Yes.
Well, and that you've
what
also...
show? The Batman show?
The Batman show from the 60s.
Sure.
You've been on set.
Yeah.
Where some of the places were. A, where can I find them? And B, what are they like now?
Where can you find what, my photos?
No, the locations for the filming.
Well, the Batcave, the exterior of the Batcave is located in Griffith Park in California, in an area called like Bronson Canyon or Bronson Caves. People there it's open to the public. People are there daily. They use it for like trails and like horse trails. People walk through. It's actually not a cave, it's actually a tunnel. Obviously the interior was not shot there. The interior was shot in the studio, but the exterior where you see the Batmobile shooting out of the cave, that is the location you saw me at, and that is Bronson Canyon. The other location you might be referring to is the location used as Commissioner Gordon's office.
Yes.
The big steps, the big city hall type looking sort of building, that is located on the Warner Studio backlot.
Really nice.
And it's open for public tours. If you go on the Warner Brothers tour, you sit in a tram and they drive through it. I had the fortune to be invited to shoot some video and photos in costume as Batman, running up and down the steps of Commissioner Gordon's office.
That's very awesome. And you have met Adam West and Burt Ward. I have yet to. I just got to ask, from one fan to another fan of them, what's it like meeting them?
Well, it's surreal. They're great to their fans. I met Adam West first time I met Adam West, and it's the ultimate, because I didn't meet Adam West the first time I met him. I met Batman. I met him when I was 10 years old, and that was around the time when he was still doing appearances in costume.
Nice.
He was actually doing appearances as Batman, and I have a photo of myself of a 10-year-old Ruby shaking Batman's hand. Not Adam West.
That's awesome.
Batman. You can't get that photo ever today.
No.
Ever. Any photo of Adam West you get today will not top that.
My inner child wants to beat the crap out of your inner child.
I mean, you can. Adam West makes convention appearances daily now, but it's only as him, not as Batman.
Yeah, because I know they did try getting him here, him and Burt Ward, this weekend, but they're actually in Dallas this weekend instead. So, but
they got a busy schedule.
Yeah, they do. But Ruby, plug yourself real quick.
My name is Ruby Rinekso. If you don't remember that name or can't pronounce it, that's quite all right. You can find me on Facebook under Planet Ruby. I got my own planet. Don't you wish you had yours? No, just kidding. Planet Ruby, that's my Facebook page. Come and check me out over there. Get in touch with me there. Or you can visit my band at kissnation.com. One word, kissnation.com, and Planet Ruby on Facebook.
Great. Thank you so much for the interview.
Thanks, buddy.
It was a good time, and enjoy the rest of the convention.
You too. Thank you.
And thank you so much, Ruby, for allowing me to interview for this podcast. And, anytime you'd like to come on, you are more than welcome to come back on, promote your stuff, talk about Kiss Nation, more about your cosplays and everything else, and, of course, share more stories. And now shifting gears a little bit, at Awesome Con, as everyone knows, I'm a wrestling fan, along with Ben Taylor, Mansa Herndon, and we actually announced over the weekend that we are now doing a new podcast called MBM Wrestling for Mansa, Ben, and Mike, and we are going to be debuting that new podcast very soon. We'll be about every other week with that podcast. And speaking about wrestling and the new podcast, Seth Rollins and Natalya Neidhart were both at Awesome Con this year. I was lucky enough to meet both of them and then do their Q&A panel, and being able to listen to what they had to say and be able to interact with them was a lot of fun. And, I hope that next year for Awesome Con, we get more WWE superstars, and instead of maybe just the 3 hours, we get them for at least one full day, because it would be a lot more fun to actually get to not worry about having to rush from point A to point B to point C back to point A again in such a very limited amount of time. But the fact that they were there was very great, and I loved being able to meet both of them, especially Natalya. She was such a sweetheart. Natty, if you ever get to listen to this podcast, we will figure Twitter out. For some reason, Twitter does not want Natty or I to follow each other, so we'll get that figured out. And meeting Seth, I mean, it's not every day you get to meet the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and Seth is one hell of a guy. And thank you so much to you two for coming out to Awesome Con. And now shifting gears once again, we are going on to our second interview with cosplay guest YuffieBunny. This one was a fun one because one of my hockey teammates decided to text message me during the interview, which then led for an opportunity for Yuffie to go sign an autograph at her booth. So there's that very awkward moment in the interview, but overall great interview. And when we get out of her interview, we'll be talking about a topic that we discussed in her interview. And now, on to the interview. And I am here with YuffieBunny, who is also another cosplay guest here at Awesome Con. Yuffie, how has the convention been to you?
Convention's been aptly named. It's been awesome. Having a lot of fun, interacting with the fans and the other guests, and just, having a blast meeting everybody at my table. It's been good.
and especially been good for you because we have 4 Power Rangers here, and yesterday you were trolling around as the Pink Ranger, which is an amazing Pink Ranger cosplay there.
Thank you. Yeah, all day yesterday I was my own kind of Pink Ranger, esque, like me. If I were the Pink Ranger, I wasn't necessarily trying to be like Kimberly or anything, but that was a lot of fun. And yeah, I did sew it and pull it out specifically because I knew so many of the other Rangers were going to be here. I'm a huge fan, so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I remember us just chatting for I think 30 minutes to an hour just about Power Rangers and the Sentai and all that other stuff. And we could talk Power Rangers for hours, but first let's talk about you as a cosplayer. What inspired you to become a cosplayer, to do the cosplays that you do now, this overall general everything?
Well, I got into cosplay. I was actually brought to a convention by people I used to babysit for, and they wanted to bring me along so I could help watch the kids if they wanted to go see some of the, anime screenings or whatever. And I had always been into geeky and nerdy stuff, but I wasn't prepared for the fact that at these conventions, people actually dress up as, the characters. And it blew my mind. I loved it. I was just I ran home from the convention, that weekend, and I basically just was Mom, Dad, help me. I want to learn how to sew. I want to make this costume. And it was, my first try was Riku from Final Fantasy X, which I recently remade completely from scratch with all my brand new shiny skills. So it was it snowballed from there, and I love it. I mean, I met so many amazing people through it, and I've always had such amazingly fun experiences doing it that, it's just been something I've continued.
Yeah, and like I'm looking at the poster that you have with at least 5 of your cosplays on, and I see Sailor Moon on there, which is obviously a very popular cosplay that I see many people do. I'm getting lost on the other 4, but that's probably because I'm not that much into anime like a lot of others are. But just looking at the quality of the work, like how long do you think it's taken you to really refine the skill to get to where you are today from when you started? And as my phone sends me a text message,
I might not have change for a 20.
Yeah.
Do you have change for a 20?
I have a 10.
That's
I just gave Ed my.
You might need to maybe ask another vendor. Oh, he's got it. Okay. Sorry about that.
Part of live podcasting.
Yeah, live podcasting right at my booth. I've been now sewing for about 14 years, and of course, those handful of, my first few years, it was tough. Like, I really didn't know what I was doing. I was, picking skills up from friends, family members, whatever. And of course, there's still a lot that I don't know how to do it, so I'm constantly looking at tutorials, constantly asking friends, like, how did you do that? I kind of want to do something similar for a new costume. So it's just about constantly learning new things. But to where I am now, that's 14 years of slow, steady, simple efforts. Like, I didn't go like, nose first into it and start sewing like 100 costumes my, 3rd year in or whatever, but...
Is there anything that you want to do that you haven't done yet? Yes,
a full body suit of armor. Every time I see cosplayers that have like a whole bunch of armor, and it's like, it just blows my mind. Like, my first attempt at it was my Kiani cosplay from Aspen Comics Fathom. And it was kind of like, let me test the waters on this. So, it was definitely a learning process, but it's given me a very good heads up to some of the things I need to do differently to finally tackle Dark Knight Riku, which is the full body armor I want to do one day.
Yeah. And, I've been holding it off because obviously for us, it's what got us started talking yesterday is obviously Power Rangers. Mm-hmm. Now, you said to me yesterday that Mighty Morphins, that's your jam, that's what you grew up with. Did you watch anything after Mighty Morphin?
Honestly, no, I didn't.
And don't feel bad. Because for me, I stopped watching near the end of season 2 because I started playing ice hockey more and more.
Yeah.
So the focus changed from that to hockey. And it just wasn't until recently when they started releasing everything on DVD that now I've seen season 3 of Mighty Morphin, Zeo, Turbo, In Space, how they closed out the Zordon era. I just recently finished watching Lost Galaxy. I'm waiting for Lightspeed Rescue now to come out so I can finally watch that. So it's like...
Yeah.
So
it's, I definitely want to watch the other seasons, but obviously Mighty Morphin has a special place in my heart because that's what I was watching as a kid, growing up, running around, in the playground during recess, pretending I was a Power Ranger with my friends at school. And it was like, so looking back at it, that's the one that's always going to be my favorite.
After we get off the podcast, I'll have to show you a picture. I actually have a picture of the Red Ranger Jason costume from 1993 that I wore as a kid for Halloween.
I've got one. I had the pink Power Ranger, and my little brother was the Red Ranger for Halloween one year, the Party City costumes from back then.
Yeah, like in the triangle box. Yeah, I still have it in the box.
Oh, nice. I don't think I still have the costume or anything. I think my parents sold all of my Power Ranger stuff at a garage sale.
Well, my dad threw away almost everything, but my mom was able to keep the stuff that were still in the boxes.
Nice.
Which was the costume and the Series 1 figures.
Nice.
Which was like a box set.
Yeah, I have to go digging through my parents' basement and attic in hopes of
and
finding something.
And just to date this, Power Rangers debuted in August of 1993.
Wow.
So it's now almost 22 years old. I was 6 when that debuted.
Yeah, I was 8, I think. Yeah, I think I was like 8 or something. I'm bad at math.
Just do 22 minus your age.
I was young. Let's just put it that way. I was, I was a baby.
and the reason I bring up age is because, when we look at Austin St. John, Walter Jones, David Yost, and Karen Ashley, who are the 4 that are here at AwesomeCon, when we look at them as childhood heroes. But then Austin became an EMT, and then he joined the military for 4 years and went overseas to be a medic for the military. So for us, it's like, wow, our childhood hero really became a hero as we got older, and looking at it in that type of perspective is really cool when you think about it.
And I think they've all kind of carried on that hero sense in different ways. I mean, obviously, he went through a tough patch, but when, David Yost came out, that was, he was very inspiring and very much a hero to, like the, LGBT community, being like, wow, someone I respected and looked up to as a kid was able to fight through it and come out and accept who he was. So, and then, Karen Ashley just powering through with, her radio show and everything. Like, there's a certain respect to be had for all of them in their own way. Amy Jo's got her production company, putting those movies out and everything. Like,
and she's the one that we really wish would just come out to convention.
Oh, I wish. I've only met her once briefly.
I've never met her. I know somebody, but he also lives up in Toronto, so he's met her multiple times.
Oh.
And I'm like,
she needs to come to New York Comic Con. Please come to New York Comic Con, Amy Jo.
Or come to AwesomeCon next year.
Yeah.
I mean, and here's the thing with Amy. I know she wants to do more with the films that she's doing now.
Exactly. Yeah.
To any convention that's listening to this podcast, whether it be AwesomeCon, New York Comic Con,
Wizard World.
Yeah. You tell her that you'll do a massive screening of just her films.
Oh, of course.
And with the hopes that it would actually entice her to go, you know what? They want to screen all my films. I'll go to there.
And she still has a very loyal, dedicated fan base. So that's, she's still going to bring people in. She's so cute and she's got that personality that just like...
And just like with Karen, like if we look at all the Power Rangers... She's aged very well too.
Oh God, they all have.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, they all look damn good.
But yeah, I mean, it would be really nice to meet Amy. It would eventually be nice for me to meet Stephen Cardenas.
I met him a few months ago.
Yeah, those are the only 2 of Mighty Morphin that I haven't met.
Yeah. So hopefully soon, all of them will start doing. I know, with management companies, they're all signed to do different,
Yeah, Jason Dave Frank has this Wizard World deal.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, and of course, as you learned yesterday about, because we were talking about this when we were talking Power Rangers, the Sentai series.
Yes.
Zoolander.
Yes.
You're going to be watching that.
Oh, I am. Now that I'm learning a little bit more details about all of the other seasons, it's really pulling me into, expand my horizons.
Well, here's the thing. If you buy it, you help the chances of more Sentai series being brought over here to the States.
Very true.
Because a lot of us would really love to see Die Ranger over here because when we saw Tommy as the White Ranger, that was the only Die Ranger that came over. Because they didn't want to change all the suits. Yeah. And it's like, well, their suits are kind of cool, though. I want to see those suits.
I know, right?
It was great. With Super Megaforce, they actually did because they were able to unlock the past powers in Super Megaforce, or as it was in Japan, Gokaiger. Over here in the States, because we never saw the Die Ranger outfits, they morphed into the Die Ranger outfits because of the White Ranger. And everyone's going, unless you've seen the Sentai, you're going like, what outfits are those?
Yeah,
I don't remember that in Power Rangers.
I don't remember that.
So yeah, it would be really nice to educate the fans where that White Ranger outfit really came from.
Yeah.
Especially the fact that in the Japanese Sentai, the White Ranger's a kid.
Ha! Aw, baby. That's cute.
But yeah, Yuffie, it's been good. Go ahead, plug your stuff.
Oh man, I'm like Power Rangers on the brain now. Definitely though, hit up my website, YuffieBunny.com. You can find all of my social media accounts through that. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, of course. And definitely check out all of my cosplay prints that I have for sale. Check out my lineup for other conventions I'm going to be at this summer, San Diego. I'm going to be guest at Wizard World Richmond later. Going to be at Dragon Con, New York Comic Con. And if you're into raving or anything, check out my company Head Candy, and I will set you up with some awesome hair.
I think the people who go to the raves at Otakon would love that.
Oh, yeah. I love my Otakon ravers.
Yeah. But thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
And till next time.
All right.
And once again, thank you so much, YuffieBunny, for coming on and allowing me to interview you for the podcast at AwesomeCon. Again, you're also welcome to come on anytime. I know you and I can have many, many more conversations about Power Rangers down the road, especially with the new movie coming out in January of 2017. And speaking of Power Rangers, we had 4 of them there. We had Karen Ashley, Austin St. John, David Yost, and Walter Jones all there that weekend for AwesomeCon. And, you know, getting to see David and Walter again was great. I mean, the fact that they even recognized me from last year really means something to me. And, you know, being able to meet Karen and Austin for the very first time, it was very great to do. Got to joke around with a few of them. And then with Austin, I actually got to show him a picture of my Red Ranger Jason Halloween costume from 1993, where it's still in the box, and he just looked at that and was like, wow, that's amazing. And obviously Austin has his new movie coming out soon that he's filming, Survival's End. And you know, Karen, she has all the work that she does. And you know, for those who watch this on YouTube, I'm posting the pictures of me with the celebrities as I talk about them and stuff like that. And you're probably going to be looking at a picture of me doing the group photo op with Karen, Austin, David, and Walter. And you're going to notice my face. I was trying to stay awake in the picture. And when I took the picture to get autographed by all 4, I mean, we actually shared some really good laughs. I was like, hey, look at my face. It's like, oh, that's a great picture. Yeah, but look at my face. I'm trying to stay awake. And they all just laughed. And, you know, all 4 of them really, really great people. They've all have been invited to come onto the podcast to promote anything that they like to promote, talk Power Rangers, anything. So, you know, to all 4 of you guys, thank you so much for coming to AwesomeCon, allowing me to meet you guys, and I hope to have you all on the podcast very soon. Next up is our interview with another cosplay guest, Miss Jennifer Rose.
And I am here right now with cosplay guests at AwesomeCon, Jennifer Rose. Jennifer, how has AwesomeCon been treating you this weekend?
It's been awesome. Not to make a bad joke, but it really has been.
Everyone's been saying awesome, so we just keep going with the pun.
Yeah.
So, you know, outside, like, what have you been doing at the con that's been making it awesome?
Well, it's been the people that have been making it awesome. Just the attendees. I've met some great people coming over to my table. Everybody's been really sweet, really generous, really supportive. A lot of people are really excited about the costuming and the cosplay, and it's been really exciting just chatting with everyone all weekend, and that's been my favorite thing about conventions, from soup to nuts. It's always the people.
Now, of course, you have a massive setup with all your prints. We'll get the Batgirl later. I kind of saved that a little bit for later when I interviewed Ruby. You do have a lot of pinup stuff as well. What inspired you to do pinup photo shoots?
Well, I've always been a fan of vintage style. I got into vintage clothing when I was in high school, which was quite a long time ago. And ever since I started shopping the vintage shops in New York City, got into the clothes. And then once I got into the clothes, I got into the hairstyling. Then I got into the makeup. And ever since then, I've just been collecting pinup art books. And since then, it just kind of branched out, and it's my favorite style. If I'm going anywhere, I try to work that into whatever my outfit is for the evening, and it's also made its way into my costuming as well. So it's influenced a lot of different facets of my life, and it's been great.
All right, and of course, as I look at your table, you have a lot of Batwoman from the 1960s Adam West Burt Ward show. I mean, obviously, like with me, I grew up with it. You obviously grew up with it. Mm-hmm. You know, what inspired you to do Batwoman in particular?
Well, actually, it's Batgirl. Batwoman is a completely different character. Not to be, picky, but just putting that out there. But Batgirl was it was the TV show that was my first exposure to the character, and I think it probably was that way for probably a lot of people because it was always on. It was on every day. When I got home from school, it was in reruns. Every day I watched it. And my favorite episodes were the Batgirl episodes. And every time I saw her little cartoon animation coming across the screen on that motorcycle, I said, that is my favorite. I want that costume. And so I really enjoyed the episodes. I said, I want that costume. And then I was a little heartbroken when I realized that there was no Batgirl costume for kids at the time, at least not that one. So once I got older and I honed my sewing skills, I realized I can make that myself. And once I came to that conclusion, it happened. And it's my absolute favorite. Again, it's retro. It's got that retro vibe to it, which I love. And it's very colorful. And it's just my absolute favorite. It's a blast to wear.
And I love the 60s Batman. I still pop the movie in from time to time. It's just a tie over until I can get the complete series on Blu-ray for myself because I love it. And one of the interesting things is that over years, I think there's been a more demand for the 60s Batman because, like, in the Batman Arkham games, one of the skins for Batman now is the 60s Adam West.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that. Yeah, it's one of the Easter eggs that you can open. I think once you play, through once, you can open up all these different skins that you can put on.
And I think it might also be, like, if you pre-order it, like, the game somewhere else, you might be able to get it, which has become a very normal thing now. It's like, well, this place has this, and this place has that. It's like, no, everyone gets the same thing.
Yeah. It's kind of that. It's a cult favorite, I think. It's definitely, a cult classic. And I think the fact that it was never officially available on DVD or Blu-ray kind of built up its reputation. And everybody just wanted it. They wanted to see it. They wanted access to it. And now we have it. Now it's out on Blu-ray and DVD.
Yeah, and one that's actually kind of hard to find, even though they do have it on DVD, is the serial movie collections from the 30s and 40s.
Yeah, those ones, I've only seen once.
I actually have them. I like the first one better than the second one. Mm-hmm. I think the story that they had was a lot better. At first they said one of them was completely destroyed, so they would never put it out, and then they put it out on DVD. So I was like, oh, obviously it wasn't destroyed. Yeah. But yeah, it's like watching the older stuff. It just reminds you of how great things can be. I mean, we got Power Rangers here and Turtle voice cast. Like that's my childhood right there, and it makes it more interesting. It's like when you look around, what really outside what you have here at your booth, what is making your inner child get really happy just being here?
Well, for example, today I'm dressed as Jem from Jem and the Holograms, so that's kind of coming back into vogue now. I'm an 80s kid, so I was really into Jem. I was really into My Little Pony. I was into He-Man, and to see all of that stuff coming back into vogue and kind of having a revival is really exciting to me because that's what brings out my inner child. It's the stuff that I grew up with. all of the 80s cartoons. I mean, those, I can still watch them now, and I just have a blast watching them. I popped in the original Gem cartoon just the other day while I was sitting at my sewing machine working on a costume, and it was so much fun. It's just a blast to watch those old episodes.
Yeah, I still pop in the old Power Ranger DVDs. Not because that's one of the things. It's like, as we said earlier, like with the Batman, they just finally put it out on Blu-ray and DVD. Yeah. They finally did. Like, they put the movie out like years ago. They just put the movie out on DVD. Then when Blu-ray became the thing, they put it out on Blu-ray. But it took a while for the TV show to even hit DVD and Blu-ray. Actually, I think they hit at the same time. And then, but like Power Rangers was the same way. It took them a while to get Power Rangers out on DVD, like all the older series, and now they're coming out. It's like, wow, I'm getting to relive my childhood, but now I'm also getting to watch all the stuff after Mighty Morphin that I never got to see as I was getting older. Mm-hmm. So it's really nice, and it's like, I'm not going to lie, when I have kids, they're watching Power Rangers.
Oh, of course. You see, now that we have access to all of these, like, great remasters, we can share it with people who have never seen it before. Like, you could share the Batman series with somebody who's never seen it before. You could share Power Rangers with someone who's never seen it before. And I think that's a great gift that you can give somebody, is to share something like that.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm sorry, most of the stuff I see on TV nowadays, it's pretty bad. And I'm like, I'd rather have my kids raised on Rocko's Modern Life and stuff like that. It's like, I know the people who made Rocko's Modern Life made SpongeBob, but I take Rocko's Modern Life over SpongeBob.
Yeah, of course. I can get behind that. I totally understand.
But real quick, give yourself a chance to plug everything that you got.
Oh, okay. So it's plug time. All right. So my name is Jennifer Rose, and you can find me on Facebook, and that's at facebook.com/Jennifer Rose NY. Jennifer Rose is in New York. And you can also find me on Instagram, Jennifer Rose 7 with 1 R. And and Jennifer Rose NY on Twitter. So those are all my social medias. You can find me there. I also have my Etsy shop linked up to my Facebook page, where I sell my prints and all of my handmade goods. I have some jewelry. I have some little accessories that I sew, and you can find all of that there.
All right, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael.
And thank you so much, Jennifer, for coming on and allowing me to interview you at AwesomeCon as well. It was great talking to you, and I am looking forward to seeing more of your Batman 1966 cosplays with Ruby and yourself. And also, once again, you're also welcome to come back on anytime to promote your work and to talk Batman. Because obviously, with Ruby, yourself, and I, we're huge Batman fans, especially of the 60s series, so it'd be great to talk more in depth about that with you too. And going from Batman to another superhero franchise, at AwesomeCon, there was a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles this past weekend. You had the voice actors Cam Clark, Barry Gordon, Townsend Coleman, and Rob Paulsen, co-creator Kevin Eastman, the original April O'Neil for the live-action films Judith Hoag, and of course, the man who will be playing Splinter in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Brian T. I was able and fortunate enough to meet all of them. Of course, with all the voice actors, Cam, Barry, Townsend, and Rob, they're such wonderful people, and it was really great to meet them, especially to see Rob again. As everyone remembers, on the preview show with Ben Taylor, I was telling Ben a story about how when I come home from work from time to time, I always find like Donatello stuff, and with Rob Paulsen being the voice of Donatello in this incarnation of Turtles on Nickelodeon, my mom is just buying the stuff up because Donatello was my favorite turtle growing up. And ironically, a few days after we recorded the preview show, which was in like maybe 2 days before AwesomeCon, I come home from work, and there's a Donatello fan with candy on the bottom. And, oh, the irony. So, at AwesomeCon on the Sunday, I actually took the fan, and I showed it to Rob, and he just loved it. It was like the full circle of, I met him last year, I told him the story about it last year, and then since then, I told him what else was given to me, and I brought one of the items that was given to me, and he laughed. And personal message to Rob Paulsen, my mother thanks you very much for the autograph. She did not expect that, and she's very flattered by it, and thank you so much for that. I got to meet the co-creator, Kevin Eastman. Very fortunate to meet him, talk stories with him. Judith Hogue, really great to meet her. She's such a nice person. She actually was selling copies of the filming script from the first Turtles movie in 1990, which was filmed obviously in 1989. I picked up a copy of that, which she signed, and it's really cool, especially for me because I'm trying to make it in the film industry and I'm writing movies myself, to see how the script is structured and seeing the notes that she made on editing the film when she did the filming herself. So it was really cool for that. And then, of course, Brian T., who we all know is playing Shredder in the next movie that's coming out. When I actually got to talk with him, we were discussing, him replacing the Shredder from the last film and thoughts on, being Shredder after seeing the Shredder from the very first Turtles movie to now. And, of course, we made a joke that he doesn't have to fill the shoes of Kevin Nash as the Super Shredder in the Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze, which we both got a good laugh out of. And, Brian T. is a major Turtles fan. I got the vibe right off of him when we were talking about Turtles and Shredder. And, just the fact that Eastman was there, the original voice actors were there, and Judith was there. That the fact that they were there made it even more exciting for him to be there. And that's really, really cool. And, I extended the invitation to Brian T. to come on the podcast to promote Turtles 2 and to just talk about Teenage Mutant Turtles in general. Obviously, he was in the Wolverine. I would love to talk to him about the Wolverine because I have seen that movie. I actually did enjoy that movie. So, Brian T., if you're listening, you are more than welcome to come on this podcast. I'd love to talk to you about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, especially the fact that it's a big thing that I grew up with and something that we're both fans of. And, unfortunately I wasn't able to interview Brian. I would have loved to. But there was another Brian at the convention, and his name is Brian O'Halloran. You may know him as Dante from Clerks. He was in Dogma. He was in Mallrats. I was able to interview him. Brian and I have a good vibe because of the hockey, so we were able to just talk about hockey instantly, starting on the Friday. And here is my interview with Brian O'Halloran.
And I'm here with Brian O'Halloran, who is in the movie Clerks and Clerks 2 and Mallrats. Brian, how has AwesomeCon been to you this weekend?
AwesomeCon is living up to its actual title. It's actually been awesome, not trying to be cheesy or nothing, but it's been really cool that a lot of these people and a lot of these celebrities and artists actually, and also craftspeople who have such amazing things here to sell. It's just been really, really cool. The people of Washington, D.C. and the surrounding Virginia areas and Delaware and Maryland has been awesome, and I couldn't have been more happy.
Now, I'm going to backtrack to Friday.
Sure.
You were wearing a New York Rangers jersey.
That's right.
I had to rib you a little bit because I'm a huge Caps fan. You're a huge Rangers fan.
That is true.
Obviously, we were both pulling for the Rangers to win. That didn't happen, unfortunately.
Right on.
Last night, the Chicago Blackhawks did win their Game 7 against Anaheim. Who do you got winning the Stanley Cup, and how many games?
I'm rooting for Chicago. I think this one is actually going to go to a Game 6. Unless somehow Bishop really turns it on and the defense of Tampa Bay can really shut down the offense of Chicago. But I think Chicago should be able to take this one in 6.
And just a note, my dad's a Philadelphia Flyers fan, and the number one thing he wanted was for Chicago to go so the Flyers can get a second-round pick.
Well, there you go.
For the team in trade.
Perfect. So there you go.
But no, I'm picking Chicago too. Chicago's just hands down a much better team. The way they're built, if they win this third Stanley Cup in 6 years, can we call it a dynasty?
You could. I mean, usually dynasties are in a row for some silly reason, but I think, look, and even though that Tampa Bay has, like, I think 4 or 5 prior New York Rangers on it this season, I think these guys in Chicago have been battling through this year after year that they can close this door. Crawford can stay solid in net, and they get Tays and everyone else on there who can really start scoring some goals with impunity. There's no telling where these guys will go.
Yeah, and you and I, we could talk hockey for hours. Because,
literally, this could be a 3-hour podcast.
Yeah, because we both love hockey so much. But, going back to Awesome Con, what are some of the things that you've really enjoyed this week in general?
Well, the panels have been really a lot of fun. The people who came out to myself and Marilyn Gigliotti, who played Veronica from Clerks, we had a panel yesterday and Saturday here, and people really came out and had some really awesome questions, and the staff, especially here, has been really cool and taking care of anything we needed. The after parties have been really great last night, Ming Chen from Comic Book Men and Anime, from the cosplayer, they hosted a party at the blind melon place. Was just an outrageous party, and everything's been really cool. The Marriott Marquis has been really cool place to stay, and you know what, I can't get enough of the room to grow here. I mean, you had Shatner here, you had Decay here, you had Sean Astin, you had John Rhys Davies. I mean, these are all things that I nerd out over. You know, you got Eastman from the Ninja Turtles creator, you got Dana Snyder and Clay Croker from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Good friend Phil Lamar, who did voiceover work for the Clerks cartoon, was here this weekend. I mean, they really had a great mix of people to come see.
And just to throw this out there, Sean Astin was here last year.
Wow. And he still has the huge lines.
And last year, we were actually in the other building, the very front building, and which is a smaller space. And this is my second time coming to Awesome Con. It's the third year of Awesome Con.
Right.
And when I came in last year, 2,000 people showed up on the Saturday alone, and the expected attendance was around 7,000.
Yeah.
And that just shows you how much this convention has grown in just 3 years.
Yeah.
And like you said, the potential for growth. I mean, let's see what happens next year, because next year it's going to be right after Memorial Day weekend again. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, I drove down from where I live in New York City, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. And like I said, everybody's been great here, and it's been great to have Jason Mewes here, as well as Brian Johnson and Ming Chen from Comic Book Men, and Marilyn Gigliotti. You have Brian T here as well. So really some really fun people to hang out with and to meet up, and for fans to actually have time to meet these people and do photo ops with. You had Alex Kingston here as well, gorgeous and talented, wonderfully talented woman as well. So
yeah, my mom actually got the opportunity to meet Alex, and she was very happy about that because of the Doctor Who.
Right. So, see, I was a big fan of her since ER. That's when I really started to enjoy her work.
And just real quick, give yourself a plug for
Sure. If guys want to follow me, I'm on Twitter and Instagram, Brian, the letter C, as in Christopher, Brian C. O'Halloran, at Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me most for my updates there. You can find me on Facebook. My fan page is of Dante from Clerks 2 with his hands in the air like, I'm not even supposed to be here today, that type of thing. And also, I have a couple of projects coming up. I have Hindsight 2020, the movie. It's a post-apocalyptic thriller. It'll be coming out this summer. And then hopefully we start shooting Mallrats 2 and Clerks 3 next year.
Very nice. And Brian, once again, thank you so much for the opportunity to interview you.
Not at all. Thank you so much. And hopefully next year we have a better ending.
Yep.
And thank you, Brian, so much for allowing me to interview you. Like we said earlier in the interview, Brian and I, we can talk hockey for hours. We're huge hockey fans. I mean, yes, he's a Rangers fan. I'm a Caps fan. But we love our hockey. We can put our teams to the side and just talk hockey and just watch hockey and just love the game. And I have extended the offer to Brian to come on later this year, like say October, maybe late September, when the NHL season's getting ready to kick up. We could potentially try to do a hockey podcast with Brian O'Halloran. I would love it. Brian, the offer is open to you, so if you can do it, if you have it availability in your schedule, please let me know. I would love to have you on the Talk Hockey and just do a hockey podcast with you. Now, I've been saving this gentleman for later on. I was able to meet William Shatner at Awesome Con this past weekend. I was able to meet him with my mother, and I heard that people were very unhappy with meeting William Shatner, and the way I approach it is that I'm grateful that everyone is there in general, that all these celebrities are there, and because they don't have to be there. And with William Shatner, he was nothing but very respectful and kind to myself and my mother when we did the photo ops with him. That's all that matters to me. And, and we're meeting a legend, because that's who William Shatner is. He's a legend. And like I said, he was nice and kind to my mom and I. He was very respectful. Yeah, I wish he would have shaken my hand, but he didn't. But that's besides the point. He was there. He was nice. He was respectful, and that's all that matters to me. And that's all that matters to my mom. And I think that's something that everyone should remember. The celebrities, they can make a lot more money doing filming and stuff like that, so they really don't have to be at the conventions. So, yeah, they don't shake your hand. That's nice. It's not going to happen all the time. But I enjoyed meeting William Shatner, and, going on, because I'm talking about my mom right now, too, because she was there. My mom was there for the Friday only. And as I mentioned in the preview show 2 weeks ago, my mom wanted to meet the Pond family from Doctor Who. And at the time of recording, Alex Kingston and Arthur Darvill were only Saturday, Sunday, and Karen had completely canceled. Alex Kingston, the day before the convention, announced that she was going to be there, or the convention announced that she was going to be there all 3 days. So my mom finally got to meet one person from Doctor Who. My mom did get to meet Alex Kingston. So that was, I would say, one of the biggest successes of the Friday for me and my mom, was for her to meet Alex Kingston from Doctor Who. And, going from, my mom being able to meet who she wanted to meet, this past weekend I was also working at the Spartacon booth. And at the Spartacon booth, on Saturday and Sunday, we had Jenna Lind, who played Kore in the show Spartacus. And I was fortunate enough to host her Q&A panel on the Sunday, and also later that day on Sunday, I actually was able to interview her for this podcast. And of course, as everyone knows, Spartacon is the sponsor for this podcast. I felt that it would be best if we get ready to close out the show with the Jenna Lind interview, and then of course my final thoughts on AwesomeCon. So without further ado, here is my interview with Miss Jenna Lind.
And I am here with my sponsor's guest of honor, Spartacus's own Jenna Lind. Jenna, how has AwesomeCon been to you?
It's been amazing, and I was going to say awesome, but then that's how fast I am. So quick on the uptake. Out of my 5 interviews, you're the first one to say something different than awesome. Yeah, that's it. So I was just so many people are like, oh, it's awesome. No, but it's been amazing watching everything today. It's been cool. And yesterday. It's rad.
Yeah. And, what's your opinion of being here in Washington, D.C. at AwesomeCon compared to maybe some other conventions that you may have done?
This place is huge for a start, and so many people just, it feels a lot more, not family orientated, but people seem they're really nice, and they just want to have a chat and stuff like that. It's been really great, just getting to know people and stuff, which is good.
Yeah, and if you actually got to wander more towards Artist Alley to the other end, we're more directed in the front of the convention hall, but if you go towards the back, there's actually a massive kids zone.
Yeah,
right
I saw that. It's rad. It's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, that's what we were saying yesterday about how it is like a more family-centric Comic-Con, which is great.
Yeah. What have been some of the highlights of you being here at AwesomeCon this weekend?
Well, I got to meet you.
Yeah, that's always a joy.
Yeah. What else has been awesome? We did the panel. That was pretty fun. And just meeting everyone, I guess. It's been, signing things and looking around. And I wish I didn't get to meet anybody. That's the thing. I didn't get to go to the Doctor Who thing, which I would have.
Yeah. And speaking of Doctor Who, we were supposed to have all 3 members of the Pond family here. Karen, Arthur, and Alex. And then something happened. Arthur had a filming commitment come up. And then he became, instead of Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then Karen dropped out due to filming reasons. And then Alex then became Saturday, Sunday, but then all of a sudden last second, Alex did like, I'll do all 3 days.
Oh, that's nice.
And that actually saved my butt with my mom because she wanted to meet the Pond family and she got to meet one of them.
Oh.
So my mom was really happy about that.
That's good.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I guess that's one of the disadvantages of being a guest at a convention sometimes.
Work, yeah.
Yeah, it's work.
Well, well, that's the thing, though. Although if you're doing work, it's great because then you have more things to come to a Comic-Con with the next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have to do the obligatory Spartacus chatter.
Yes.
Yes. Because, I mean, obviously we've been talking about Spartacus all weekend, and potentially you will be at Spartacon in August, so there's more opportunities for us to talk again then. But for you right now, what was the highlight of doing Spartacus?
Spartacus was such an experience, like being away for 10 months with these incredible people, getting to, like, it's if you could sort of like put getting to train and act in things that there are no low stakes in Spartacus. Everything is high stakes. Everything is 12 out of 10. And getting to do that type of work for 10 months straight, life or death sort of work with people that you love, I mean, it was the highlight for me. Yeah.
And what is your favorite Kore moment?
I guess getting to kill Tiberius was pretty fun. That was pretty rad. That or being crucified, that was fun. So I got to be hung up on the cross and I got to play around there all day. Yeah.
And you were telling that you sent pictures of you being crucified.
Yeah, to my mum. Yeah, she didn't like that. She's like, I can't look at it, Jenna. I was like, okay, Mum, when in reality am I ever going to get crucified? So this is not something you need to worry about.
To be brutally honest, if anyone's going to get crucified first, it'll probably be me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it'll be me.
Yeah, and so I was like, this is not going to happen to me. This is not a fear coming to life. It is fine. Yeah.
But Jenna, great talking to you.
You too.
Here's a chance to plug yourself. And plug Twitter, stuff like that.
Oh, my Twitter it's Jenna_M_Lind. Yep, that's that. And then I'm also on Instagram, and I have a page on Facebook, which is just Jenna Lind. Yeah. Yeah.
The greatest plug of stuff.
Yeah, that's my stuff.
Yeah. And then potential Spartacon appearance this August.
Yeah, that would be really fun.
So, Jenna, thank you so much for coming on.
No worries, anytime.
And thank you so much, Jenna, for allowing me to interview you for my podcast, and most importantly, also thank you for allowing me to host your Q&A panel at AwesomeCon as well. I hope things do work out and that you are able to come to Spartacon and that I can host your panel again. And, you know, now I'm just going to give my final thoughts on AwesomeCon. And I know you've heard in all the interviews that AwesomeCon is awesome. It truly does live up to its name. Ben Penrod, his staff, and the volunteers did an amazing job this year. The way they set everything up, getting the bigger space, it really made AwesomeCon a lot better. And I did not have any issues at all at the convention, and that's a testament to Ben and his staff and the volunteers, and they all did a really, really great job. And, I also want to, obviously thank Ruby Rinekso, Jennifer Rose, YuffieBunny, Brian O'Halloran, Jenna Lind, for allowing me to interview them for this podcast. I also want to do a shout out to Harry Crossland for Pop Culture Uncovered on day 2. He had me on as part of the AwesomeCon Roundtable live at AwesomeCon on day 2. Thank you so much for having me on. Anytime I'd be willing to come back onto your show, Harry. And, anytime you want to come on here, come on. And with that said, it should be noted that AwesomeCon next year has already been announced for June 3rd through 5th, which I believe is the weekend after Memorial Day again. And once again, I'm Mike. This is The Xperience. We've been brought to you by Spartacon, which is August 15th and 16th at Blue Crab Stadium in Waldorf, Maryland. Come see stars from the show Spartacus like Manu Bennett, Cynthia Day Robinson, Dan Furrigal, and many others from the show. For more information, please visit redserpents.com. And until next time, keep on having fun, guys. All right.